Salutations, friends, and welcome to Men with Funny Heads, the sci-fi podcast that, despite our better judgment, exists. I am Wib, and I am joined by my good friend Longfang. Say hello, Longfang.
Hello, everyone.
How are you doing, friend?
I'm alright, I'm awake. It's 3 p.m, roughly, and I woke up at 11, and I crammed the episode of what we're talking about as quickly as I could, so this will be fine.
It's fine. It's fine. Everything's okay.
Yes.
So what we mentioned at the end of our pilot episode, when we initially didn't have a name for the podcast, we mentioned that we were going to do something giant monster related this time. However, due to circumstances sort of outside of our control, that's been put back. However, we are going to talk about something very special today.
Very special to us. We broke the emergency glass. Going, oh shit, what do we do now?
Well, the thing is, like, I have like a huge array of things to do, but like, you know how there's like a sort of order that you kind of want to go in a little bit?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'd want to talk about this movie, but I'd like to talk about this series before we do that. Or I'd like, you want to kind of establish.
You want to go through the real weird shit before you hit the stuff people know as well, I think. Because Andromeda's known, but it's not as well known as this.
Yeah, so we're doing Star Trek, as you will know, because I assume people read the title of the video before they
I would fucking hope so.
Play. Well, I say video, it's a video or an MP3, depending.
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
I know how podcasts work. I've done podcasts.
Are we live right now? Should I stop the stream? What's Like, you're talking to me here. I don't do video stuff. I do stream stuff. So we're all from different worlds. It's fine.
It's fine. Anyway, so we're going to do a very well-known episode of Star Trek. Mm-hmm. Actually, this is very very fitting because I feel that I should mention that I'm now Star Trek famous. Because I got a very stupid joke retweeted by the Star Trek official Twitter account, which was not something I expected to happen
ever. How is that tweet doing, by the way?
Oh, it's got like 3,000 odd likes or
fucking
something.
Hell, okay.
Which I know in the grand scheme of Twitter is not that huge, but that's like twice the amount of interaction I have ever had on a tweet. It's had over like 1,000 retweets. It's just pictures of Gowron.
Yeah, but
because I thought it was
come on,
funny.
It's Gowron. How can you not talk about that?
I had a weird thing when we were streaming last night, and because it got a little bit of virality, I looked at my phone and it's like, oh, Joan Vasquez has liked your tweet, and I'm like,
oh wow, okay.
I'm like, the Invader Zim guy, and it's like, yeah, the Invader Zim guy. Like, oh, okay, that's
yep. This is
strange world.
This is the world you live in now. Congratulations, you are the big famous.
I'm now a big fucking deal.
Yep.
And I am going to let it go to my head.
Yes, and it's you've already forgotten about the little people like us. You barely, I'm surprised you want to do this today.
I'm not listening to you right now, honestly. If I respond and it's in context, it's because I'm just guessing and I'm looking.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Anyway, we are doing an episode of Star Trek. More precisely, we are doing an episode of the original series. Season 1 aired in April of 1967, City on the Edge of Forever.
Oh, yes.
It's widely regarded by a lot of people as being one of the best, if not the best episode of TOS, and sometimes the whole of Star Trek. I definitely say it's one of, if not my favourite episode of TOS.
Yeah. Like, I can totally see why people say it's the best episode of TOS, though. It's super good.
I also really like, because I think TOS, though it had episode names that were a bit kind of basic, you had your Spock's brain.
You also had, like Amok Time, though.
Yeah, but I do think there's a certain poetry to some of the episodes of TOS that I really like. City on the Edge of Forever is a good one. Conscience of the King, good name. A Taste of Armageddon. And, of course, the ultimate one, For the World is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky.
Fuck, that's good.
It's a solid name.
Hell, even like the basic ones, like the episode where Can shows up, it's Space Seed. That's a great name.
Yeah. The episode was written by Harlan Ellison, who is a famous sci-fi writer. A lot of people will probably know him from being the writer of I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, and being the voice of Am in the video game adaptation of it.
As only he could do, to be fair. Like, when you listen to it, it's like, yeah, that's how Am would sound.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy, I will say that.
Angry man, but at the same time, he's also, he has interesting ideas when it comes to sci-fi, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, and there's a whole bunch of, like, behind-the-scenes stuff, some of which, when we're going through the episode, I'll go into, but I'll put a bunch of stuff on the end.
Sure.
Sort of talking about some of the bits and pieces, because there was also a comic of this episode, which I'll talk a little bit about.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I think my dad's got it right now, and I forgot to go get it, so I couldn't read through it again.
No, recording's over. I need you to leave and go and get that right now.
I mean, I can't be bothered.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. That's a good enough of reasons, anyway.
My dad lives a whole, 12 minutes away. I can't be bothered to walk.
Fair.
Do you want to talk us through this wondrous episode of Star Trek: The Original Series?
I will do my utmost to do so.
Okie dokie.
However, I do want to mention first, because we talked about this just before we started, we're talking about like the nostalgia of TOS for some people. I grew up on the original series. Me and my aunt would sit and watch it at tea time every day. It was on. It was one of the BBC channels, because this was when it was 5 channels on TV.
Yeah,
and it was my gateway into sci-fi, and I fucking adore it. Is it cheesy as shit? And is there some really fucked up stuff even in this episode? Yes, but it's good shit.
I sort of grew up with Next Gen. I honestly didn't see the vast majority of TOS until 4 years ago or something, where I watched through it from start to finish.
Which probably isn't a bad thing, to be honest, because as you get older and watch it again, you go, oh, this is what they were getting at. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I watched a lot of the movies when I was younger, the TOS sort of era movies.
Yeah.
I remember watching those, and I did see a handful of episodes, but because at the time, Next Gen was on all the time, that's what I saw, and then going into DS9 and Voyager, and then I kind of tagged out during Enterprise for reasons that are obvious to anyone who's watched Enterprise.
Yeah.
But
why did you have to bring me down like this?
But yeah, so you've got the heavy nostalgia for it, and for me, it's not really nostalgia; it's just a
appreciation.
Appreciation for it from me watching it a handful of years ago, and sort of appreciating it as the precursor to the shows I did grow up with.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I am very much in love with it, but I know that it's not perfect. So everyone can criticize it all they want, because that's what it is. It's a piece of art to be critiqued and enjoyed or not enjoyed or laughed at for the cheesy dialogue or weird sets. Which this one doesn't feature weird sets, to be fair, but you know.
Okay.
It has one. It has one.
It has one, and there's a whole story behind that. We'll get to that, though.
Right. Okay, we open with space turbulence, as they kind of say it is. The Enterprise is orbiting a planet that is giving off ripples in time that's affecting the ship and making the camera shake. Sulu's console explodes, and he is thrown to the ground, not unconscious, but almost there. And the Doctor is called to give aid. Dr. McCoy appears in the bridge and notices Sulu's eyes are still flickering and moving. So, okay, I'll use, was it Cordrazine? Something like that? Cordrazine. To which Kirk says, "Are you sure about that?" And before he even has all the words out, Sulu's back on his feet. And
oh no, you're forgetting the point where as Sulu is injected with this and he comes back to life, he gives perhaps the creepiest grin.
Yeah. Mr. Decay, what the hell?
It's just this horrifying expression that makes you think like he's suddenly been filled with a desire to eat your pet. Or something.
Maybe it was on this day he finally decided he would eat the flesh off the face of William Shatner. And then
weird. The plot of the episode happens, so he doesn't get time, and then he runs off, so it's fine.
McCoy and Kirk have some banter about the fact that, don't tell me what the fuck to do, Jim. I know what I'm doing. I'm a doctor, damn it, etc., etc. McCoy goes to put everything back into his little first aid bag, box thing. You know how sci-fi is. If it's a bag, it's actually just a little container box. And turbulence hits yet again, and McCoy falls over and injects himself with the rest of the dose of cortisone, which is far too much.
It is a lot.
And he goes mad.
Yeah, he starts screaming, "Killers! Assassins! Like, you're all trying to kill me! I'll kill you all!" Like,
good impression, by the way. Good job. It's great. I love everything about this. And he throws a person out of the turbo lift onto the bridge and escapes into the ship. Cut to intro music, and of course, the best part of any Star Trek episode, where the captain or character on the crew gets to say, "Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before." And then we get theremin music, which is the best. Shut up.
It's great. Actually, that's the point. The version you watched, was it one of the restored versions?
Yes.
Where it's all CGI?
Yes.
Because I've only seen a few episodes like unrestored, because most of the ones you find now are the
Originally, I saw them obviously unrestored, and the scenes in space don't hold up in the way you'd think they wouldn't hold up. It's actually, the film looks fucking terrible.
Yeah, I guess it's because of the compositing there.
I guess it is. Yeah, it just like there's big black fucking marks on the film or something. It doesn't look great at all. So I'm not too bothered by the remaster sort of stuff they did. It's not a George Lucas throwing things into Star Wars that didn't need to be there sort of thing.
Yeah, I get that.
So, anything to say, my friend?
No, I'm fine.
Fine then. Okay. I'll continue to just fucking lecture.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, security is put on alert and starts searching deck by deck for McCoy, who sneaks into the transporter room and does a double judo chop to incapacitate the transporter chief.
The Star Trek classic.
Yep. The chop to like the kidney area, and then the one in the back of the neck every time.
Oh yeah, it like instantly incapacitates people.
Oh yeah.
The next time you find yourself in an altercation, try it. It totally works. Do not try it. You will get stabbed.
The Men with Funny Heads podcast legally is obliged to say that was a joke.
This reminded me of the whole thing of that, like, a lot of people, like engineers and things in TOS are just wearing like fucking pajamas.
Yeah, it's
like even more so than Star Trek people normally are.
Yeah, it's a weird jumpsuit type thing, but it's got like a fucking Jedi robe style top on it. It's like got folds and everything. It's really strange. I don't mind it though, because it does give you like a separation between officers and crewmen. I guess that's what they were going for.
Yeah, I think so. It gets into that whole thing of Star Trek's somewhat spotty way of like acknowledging that there are enlisted commissioned officers and just regular crew.
Yeah,
Because in the entirety of Star Trek, we've only had like 2 major characters not be commissioned officers. It's very easy to forget that most of the people on the ship aren't them. There's just like
Chief O'Brien is the best, and he's not even an officer or an enlisted officer. Whatever.
So O'Brien and Yeoman Rand, that's it.
Oh yeah, God, I forgot about Yeoman Rand. I feel terrible now.
She's not. It's not like, you know.
She's not even in this episode. Come to think of it.
No, well, TOS does have the problem that despite having kind of an ensemble cast, in theory, it's really the Kirk, Spock, and McCoy show.
Yeah, like Scotty's in this episode, Uhura's in this episode, but they're mainly background.
Oh yeah, they're not in the vast majority of it.
Chekhov isn't there because he wasn't in the show yet. So yeah.
Yeah, it's season 2 he comes in, isn't it?
I think it's season 2, yeah. It's really weird to think, because when you think of the crew, you think Chekhov's there all the time.
Yeah, because there's the whole thing in Wrath of Khan where Khan acknowledges Chekhov, like, I never forget a face. It's like he wasn't in the episode Space Seed.
Unless he was just a crewman or a lower level officer that wasn't on the bridge at the time.
Yeah, I think that's,
like bridge
just
crew,
what we have to do.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
That's the no prize.
Hand wave him. So, Kirk, Spock, Scotty, and Uhura, along with 2 red shirts, beam down to the surface of the planet that McCoy is beamed down to, which turns out the exact location they beamed down to is the centre of where the ripples are all coming from, these ripples in time, and find themselves surrounded by 10,000-year-old ruins and a big stone circle gateway thingy.
Do you want to know a fun thing about the ruins?
Yes, please.
So it turns out there weren't supposed to be ruins. It was a miscommunication in production. The actual notes for the set were like incredibly ancient with runes everywhere.
Oh no, you're kidding me.
And then like it was fabricated, and then like Matt Jeffries got back after like a holiday or something and was like, why the fuck is there ruins everywhere?
Oh no.
It was like he just it's like it's believed that like the actual guy who like organised the actual like fabrication of it misheard him.
Yeah, that and they're like, well, we just have to shoot with it now.
Yeah, which is why it's radically different in the comic version, because the comic version of it is made from Harlan Ellison's original script, so it's got things like that
At
done
the
as it was supposed
same
to.
time, though, I don't mind the ruins because it looks like there was like a temple surrounding this big stone donut.
Yeah, you'd never know. That's just a fun little tale that I found on Wikipedia.
Oh no, the fun stuff around Star Trek's always in the production when they're like, well, we've got this now, we need to fucking use it somehow. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Or like kit bashing fucking starships together and shit. It's great. The big stone circle is, as Spock discovers using his handy dandy tricorder, that it's the source of all the distortions in time and space. And even Spock's like, this doesn't make sense by any science I know. It's a fucking rock. At which point the rock speaks.
Hello.
And glows. I do love the way it lights up though. Like, it's the Guardian, well, I'll call it does introduce itself in a bit as the Guardian of Forever. The look of it is really iconic to me. It's very 60s and kind of cheesy, but at the same time it still works.
I do like that because it's something that is like, as you'll see, it's a hyper powerful thing.
Yes,
and they've been remarkably restrained with using it in different things because it only appears on screen one other time, and that's in like an episode of the animated series.
And it appears in Star Trek Online.
It does appear in Star Trek Online, but I said on screen.
Yeah, but Star Trek Online's on a screen.
Yes, but this is a level of pedantry that honestly, it's not becoming for you to do it. It's something that I should be doing.
All right, fair enough then. You dick. Okay, yes. The Kirk and Spock talk amongst themselves. Kirk asks the question of how does this work? What is it? And then the Guardian is just a question. Since before your sun was hot in space and before your race was born, I have awaited a question. And this becomes the Q&A session between Kirk, Spock, and the object. Who are
It's
you?
like Comic-Con.
Yeah. Oh god, someone photoshopped that.
So what, the Guardian Forever, just at Comic-Con?
No, doing a panel, so he's behind it's behind a desk.
Yeah. It's got the little like name tag in front of him and everything.
Yeah. And a lanyard that's just kind of on him, but it's just hanging in the middle where there's no mass.
It's like sellotape to him or something.
God damn it. This is why I don't do the show rundowns. And the Guardian of Forever begins to... Oh, I should mention, actually, sorry. While this is happening, Uhura and the two red shirts are looking around for McCoy, who's hiding behind a polystyrene rock.
Yeah, they're kind of doing a little bit of a hide-and-seek thing during this time. You might also notice that McCoy has started to become... he's got big red spots on him.
Yes.
Because apparently this cordrazole makes you...
Cordrazine, something like that.
What is it again? Cordrazine. Yeah, cordrazine.
We're going to get the name wrong every time we say it because it's... don't worry about it.
It's fine. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it literally does not matter.
It apparently makes you spotty. So that's a thing.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, they have the Guardian talks to them and starts showing them the past in the middle of his donut body. I did note down here, the Guardian's, like, portal internal donut body hole shows the pyramids, I believe Roman soldiers and knights. And I wonder what that footage was taken from.
It's probably taken from some, like, public domain stuff.
It looks like it's from, like, movies of maybe, like, the decade before, you know?
It could have been, because, I mean, ultimately it was, you know, the production company, because, I mean, I'm not sure who actually owned it at the time.
I don't know either.
I'm not sure about, like, when it was in production, like, if it was, like, because it was, like, Paramount...
yes.
Nowadays CBS.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know at the time where the rights are, but it could have just been from
the rights
movies
of Star Trek are weird.
Yeah, it could have just been that, you know, whoever had it, the rights at the time, they had stuff for old movies, so they were like, oh, we'll use those. It's probably something like that.
Oh, I forgot to mention, like, Spock gets legitimately shit-talked by the Guardian of Forever.
Yes, he does.
Basically saying that he's primitive, and Spock's like, and Kirk just takes a piss out of Spock for it. He's like, oh, is he annoying you, Spock? Kirk decides, since this artifact, this being, can allow people to travel through time, maybe they should go back to the moments before McCoy dosed himself accidentally. But the Guardian decides that, or just states it can't do that. It can't go to a set time. It's doing a slideshow effectively.
Yeah, there's a whole thing, which I think is quite fun, of how flippant they are with the concept of time travel at this point.
At this point, yes.
Because, I mean, like, later on in TOS, you have Assignment Earth, where they're just like, oh yeah, we just went back to the 60s. Like, you know, just
it's fine. Don't see a problem with that.
You can understand why in Trials and Tribulations in DS9, the temporal agents are like, fucking
Kirk.
Kirk has got, like, the most infractions on his record for fucking with the timeline.
We should talk about that episode at some point. It's so good.
Trials and Tribulations is a fantastic episode of Deep Space Nine.
Such a good episode of just Star Trek in general.
Yeah.
But, yeah, McCoy takes advantage of Kirk and Spock staring through the Guardian of Forever and being like, oh, there's the pyramids and Napoleon, and is that guy? And he just runs through the portal.
Whilst once again screaming, assassins, killers.
Yes.
I'll kill you all. You're not going to kill me.
Yeah.
You know.
His message is mixed, but he gets it across.
Yeah.
Disappears through the portal to somewhere in history. So, okay, what do we do now? Uhura contacts the Enterprise. The Enterprise doesn't respond. Scotty checks the communicator. The communicator is in working order. The Enterprise is no longer where it should be.
The Enterprise is just fucking gone.
The butterfly effect has worked its magic, and it could be that these people are, like, the crew that's on this planet are the only ones that are still in existence purely because they're in this place, I think.
Yeah, I think the comic that I read of it, I think it did actually establish that, like, they're fine because they're within the
They're like the epicenter of all the
when you're close enough to the Guardian, you're protected from the effects of it kind of spreading out.
Yeah.
I also liked at this point that because though the original series, as far as being progressive, is better than most other things that were made
of
at that
the time,
time.
yes,
like not going to like diminish what it did. But it was quite funny that the only thing they have for Uhura to say, basically in the whole episode, is "I'm frightened."
Yeah. Although at the same time, I would be. It's a fucking throwaway ass line, but at the same time, it's like everything you know is now gone.
Oh yeah. But the thing is, they can't get off this planet. They're literally stuck on this planet.
They are completely stranded on this world.
And as far as we know,
the Enterprise isn't there. Starfleet might not exist.
Yeah, as far as we know, there is nothing on this planet aside from
the Guardian.
Yeah.
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 Actually, yeah, I think Kirk does. There's a throwaway line of Kirk, like, the ruins go out to the horizon.
Yeah.
So, like, there's nothing.
Presumably runes originally.
Mm-hmm.
There was runes all the way to the horizon.
So yeah, Enterprise is gone. McCoy must have somehow changed history when he went through that gate. And the away team is now completely alone with... They can't do anything. We get obviously what was originally an ad break to a Captain's Log. My favourite one ever. Captain's Log, no star date. For us, time does not exist.
It's strong.
So good. Kirk and Spock decide to... Well, they need to find a solution, so they decide, can we go through the Guardian to... get McCoy back from wherever he's disappeared to?
And hopefully make the future not be bad.
Yes, as we find out later, very bad.
Oh, way worse than you initially expect.
It's so good. The rest of the crew decide, well, there's nothing fucking else we can do. Kirk, I think Kirk actually mentions to the rest of the crew, if we don't come back, you have to do the same thing we just did.
Yeah, you've got to go through because because Spock basically, because he was scanning with his tricorder when McCoy went through,
yes,
and because it cycles through times, so they know when to jump to get to the same place as McCoy.
Mm-hmm.
But like obviously without that tricorder, you wouldn't know how to do that, so the other people won't be able to do that. And he's like,
yeah, it's not that they should try it as well. It's like, no, just go through the portal and find somewhere nice to live the rest of your life, because if we don't come back, everyone's fucked.
Yeah, basically, you will be lost in time, but at least you'll be alive.
Yeah, I think that's.
I think it's like Uhura actually does. In fairness, Uhura does have a good line there where she basically says to Kirk, like, in the acknowledgement that it's very possible they are never going to see each other again, and they're both going to be in different time, like entirely different time, like areas within time. She's just like, it's like, good luck or at least happiness.
Yeah, Scotty says, "Well, good luck, gentlemen."
Yeah,
and she says, "Well, at least happiness." That's a really good line.
It's a good. There's a lot of the writing in this episode is really good. Yeah,
I hope you've taken notes on that, because I was just like, I need to be taking notes on what's happening.
I've made some notes of things.
Thank you. The Guardian states that if McCoy is found and stopped from whatever he did to damage the timeline, the Guardian will just bring the three of them back, and then everything will be okay. So, great, okay, now we know what to do. Kirk and Spock make a leap through the portal at the exact moment, according to the recordings on the tricorder, to where McCoy made his jump, and find themselves in America during the Great Depression.
Yeah, it's 1930 specifically.
Yes. So, post-World War I, pre-World War II, the American economy is fucked. There's homeless people everywhere. It's not a nice time. And immediately, is it 2 or 3 old ladies just look at Spock and stare at him?
It's just like...
To which Spock just kind of covers his ears and tries to hide himself. Kirk states, "We seem to be costumed a little bit out of step with the time." And then the hijinks music ensues.
Yeah, that. Do you mind if I take over for this little bit, because it just amused me so much?
By all means, because I adored the sequence and I couldn't take enough notes if I tried.
So they're like, okay, so we need to get some more clothes.
Yes.
Some clothes of the time, because obviously they're wearing their like bridge uniforms, so they look very silly if they were in 1930. So they see some clothes on like a fire escape, and Kirk goes up to grab it and comes down. And they're like, this is easy. We're going to get away with this. And then they instantly run into a cop who's just like...
Who saw the whole thing.
And he's just like, the fuck are you doing? And then Kirk, showing that he is the worst liar, he's like, my friend here is obviously Chinese.
And
I see you've noticed the ears. They're actually easy to explain. Silence.
Yeah.
And then they kind of look at each other for a bit. And Spock's like, perhaps the unfortunate incident I had as a child. Yes, the unfortunate incident he had as a child where his head got caught in a mechanical rice picker. Like... It's such a shit lie, and the cop does not believe it for a second.
There's such a twinge of like, 1960s racism there, but also like, it's acted so well and meant so innocently.
Yeah, it's just straight up, Kirk is shit at lying.
And he's completely out of his element.
Yeah, and the cop just is like, all right, get against the fucking wall. Mm-hmm. I mean, he doesn't say fuck. He probably should have. But,
probably, yeah.
And Spock pinches him, and they...
I think the best bit of this is Kirk looks over at the officer when he's frisking them and is like, "Oh, your wife let you go out like that today? That's a shame." The officer gets distracted, like, what? And then Spock just comes around and nerves pinch him, and they run away.
Yes. It's such a comical little scene.
It's like, with the music behind it and everything, it is clearly a comedy bit. It's so good. So good. So yeah, Kirk and Spock run and continue to run through several different sets that I'm guessing were on the Paramount backlot.
Basically, yeah.
And make it into a basement where they change into their new clothes.
I like how at this point, Kirk is like, you seem to be enjoying that whole, interaction where I was badly lying. You seemed almost human. And Spock's like, Captain, I hardly believe that insults are within your prerogative as my commanding officer.
It's...
He's just like, oh, sorry.
We will talk about this later, but the relationship between Kirk and Spock in the original series and the chemistry between the two actors is so good.
This is a good Kirk and Spock episode.
Yes. While they discuss what the hell they're going to do with their situation, Spock mentions, if we were on the Enterprise, I would simply plug the recorder into the tricorder into the main computer, and then try and work things out. What changed? Or what the original pathway of time should be, and what changed and stuff like that. Kirk mentions, can we just make a computer out of the technology that is available to us here? And before they can really have a decent conversation about it, a voice comes from the top of the staircase in the basement, and a lady comes out. Spock runs away and puts a woolly hat on. It's adorable.
Spock in a beanie is the iconic look for this episode.
Yes. It's... God, this episode's good. Thank you, Will. I'd forgotten how good this episode is. As soon as we get a good look at the lady at the top of the stairs, the sappy love music begins.
Oh yeah, this lady is played by Joan Collins, by the way.
Yes.
Who, if you don't know who that is, ask your parents. They'll tell you something about a show called Dynasty, and you don't want to.
She's honestly pretty good in this role, to be fair.
Oh yeah. Although apparently, she had Okay, she later in interviews has mistakenly like misremembered it and saying, "Oh yes, I played like a Nazi sympathizer." To which Harlan Ellison has like openly said, "That was no, that wasn't.
No, that was not. No. I get where she's. We'll get into that later, but that is not what she was saying."
Yeah, that's a weird thing that happened. So that's not what that character is. Oh God, no, Joan, no.
She would not believe any lie that came out of Kirk's mouth, as we know, because Kirk cannot fucking lie in this century, apparently.
Yep.
And he comes clean and just says, "Yeah, we stole the clothes. We needed somewhere to shelter." Hi. The lady introduces herself as Edith Keeler and is the owner of the 21st Street Mission, where she helps the poor. At this time in the Depression, people like these were worth their weight in gold, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's like a homeless shelter.
Yes, soup kitchen, homeless shelter, yeah.
Yeah.
And she offers them work cleaning the place in return for silence as to the theft and sudden appearance in a basement talking weird shit.
Yes. It also begins the whole thing of the romantic music, as you mentioned, along with Kirk staring at Edith Keeler as if she was like
an angel.
a literal angel.
Yeah.
He is smitten to a level that like... So like Kirk...
They maybe should have started off with the smitten thing a bit later.
Because
saying. He's in.
He stands Edith from the moment he sees her.
Yes. Spock cuts in at the talk of work and says, "What monetary payment will we receive for the work?" And it's like, Jesus Christ, Spock, come on now.
Read the room.
Yeah, it's what was it, 15 cents an hour for 10 hours a day?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And Spock kind of makes the excuse that he needs the money for his radio building hobby.
Yes.
Something like that. So they're in the clear for now. They have somewhere to stay while they await McCoy appearing or making his move. Take a seat.
I think it's stated around here that they figure out that they're about a week before McCoy is here.
They don't know if they're like I think Spock mentions earlier before they get into the gateway. I apologise. I am not used to doing plot run-throughs and I'm terrible.
It's fine.
The Guardian could take them anywhere between a month and a week or more before McCoy turns up. So, so yeah, they work out it's about a week. They sit down with some soup and bread in the soup kitchen, and Edith does a lecture.
Yeah, she kind of stands up and does a speech. There's like a guy in the soup kitchen who is like, "Oh, now you got to pay for the soup." By listening to this do-gooder speak about things.
Yeah, the fact he's like this do-gooder. I mean, she's pretty, but like, and Kurt just goes, "Shut up."
Yeah,
just shut up.
And what I like is Edith basically stands up and goes like, "I believe in the future we'll have badass spaceships and it'll be rad, and we'll have fully automated luxury space communism."
Yeah, and it's like, she is very much like it's maybe a bit heavy-handed in the fact that she's basically predicting Starfleet and the Federation.
Yeah, it's a bit much. Although she might just there is evidence later on in the episode that she might actually just have precognition. So,
okay, we'll need to talk about that.
We shall,
because I didn't catch that. But yeah, her speech is about how soon humanity will harness the power of the atom and be able to fly out into space to other planets, and there'll be hope for everyone in the future. We need to keep that hope alive now when everything seems so bad. Kirk and Spock are kind of bemused by the entire speech and are looking at each other.
I don't know, I think Kirk is fully erect at this point. The way he's looking at her.
I am getting to that in my notes, sir. The table raises slightly on Kirk's side. No, they look at each other and they're like, well, the atom bomb isn't far away. Man landing on the moon is only a few decades from now. Interesting. And they're sort of... they're looking at it as if her speech is kind of quaint because they've had the experience of everything they've had. Kirk is clearly smitten and is just staring longingly at her, and Spock looks like he's tired of Kirk's shit already.
I mean, that's
great.
That's their relationship in general, you know.
Yeah. Where are we? Spock begins in a... Oh no, I missed the bit in my notes that's really important, where, as they're about to leave the soup kitchen, Edith asks Kirk if they have a flop for the night.
Oh yes, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" It's like, "You got a flop." Like, can you stop saying flop? No, like, yeah, no, they just basically communicate. You need somewhere to sleep. Where I live, there's a room spare. I can take you with me. Mm-hmm. It costs this much. It's fine. Yeah.
To which I think still the most adorable part of the episode is when Kirk walks over to Spock and says, "Well, we've got a flop for the night," and Spock's like, "Motherfucker." Like,
what is a flop? Talking about, Jim, you absolute idiot.
First of all, what's a flop? Second of all, why did you have to say that in the first place rather than just say a place to live? I love you, Spock. And there's a couple of time jumps in this episode, actually.
Yeah, this is one.
Time is passing way more than you think it is.
Yeah, because it's basically, this episode takes place over about the space of a week, so...
Yes. We cut to daytime in their little plop. Flop. And Kirk arrives with 2 paper bags, one full of food, the other full of stuff for Spock, who's built a Universal Movies Frankenstein's lab of stuff to build a computer. It even has like the 2 metal pins with the electrical arc surging between them.
Yes.
It's great. I love this entire setup. So yeah, Spock's trying to build a basic computer to help his tricorder do more.
I like how he's like, he turns to Kirk and he's like, "So I'm going to need some platinum, just like 5 pounds of platinum, and I'll be able to use that." And Kirk's just like, "Well, I have vegetables and bologna."
Yeah, I have vegetables, bologna, a hard roll, and some other stuff you needed. We are not going to get platinum. I wish I'd taken note of it. There's a great line. Spock says something about how he's attempting.
You're basically asking me to build this thing with things that are only a step above stone tools and spears or something like that.
Stone tools and bearskins, I think it is.
Oh, stone tools and bearskins. Yeah, that's it.
It's so good. Edith walks into the room and is like, "What the fuck is that?"
And Spock's like, I am attempting to build something with stone tools.
Yeah, it's like I'm attempting to build a duotronic computing system with stone tools and bearskins.
Yeah, the amount of times that people in this episode just say the truth is great.
Yes.
Because they just know that no one will believe or understand or care.
Yeah, like Edith literally looks at it and just kind of goes, "Okay," and leaves. Okay. She doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Cut to nighttime of the same day, possibly. Passage of time is weird in this episode, as we said. While sweeping the soup kitchen, Spock and Kirk spot some tools that some other guys are using for something. I couldn't work out. Were they fixing a clock or something?
Yeah, they're fixing clocks. It's like little clockmaker's tools.
Right. Yeah. To which Spock's like, "Hey, I kind of need those. They'd be handy." So after hours, Kirk and Spock go to the locked toolbox in the basement and try to open it.
Rather than just asking like a normal person.
Yeah.
He goes and fucking cracks the safe. Like, Spock, you could have just asked. I'm sure they would have just let you use it.
The bit I love about that is we just see him open the combination padlock. Edith comes down and is like, "I'm the only one that knows the code to how."
No, the thing is, like, there's barely like a pause. It's just he steals the thing, and then straight afterwards, it's Edith coming down to the basement, going, "I know you stole the tools." Like,
yeah,
that's the thing. That's why I said I think she has some level of precognition, because that's the only explanation as to how that could make sense.
I think she knew they were acting shady and didn't have a reason to be in the basement. But I like your idea too.
Yes, that is my headcanon that I fully believe, and I'm not just doing a bit.
Yes, of course. Kirk turns on the charm and states that Spock will bring back the tools tomorrow, it's nothing to worry about. And Edith agrees in exchange for Kirk walking her home and answering some questions. Cut to hand-holding.
Yes, it's scandalous. Whilst the song "Good Night, Sweetheart" plays.
Yes.
Which made me remember the British television show Good Night, Sweetheart, the show that let you know that it is okay to cheat on your partner as long as you are teleporting in time and you are Nicholas Lyndhurst.
Oh, yeah. God, that was a weird fucking show.
If you don't know, because you're not British or you're younger than the ancient frame that I am in.
The ancient frame. Yeah,
I'm only 33.
For all those who don't know, Web's actually a brain jar and a metal armature.
But it was a show where Rodney from Only Fools and Horses
Fuck, so it was.
Played a character who basically found this area where he could go back in time to, I think it was like 1941 or something like that.
It was wartime Britain anyway, yeah.
Yeah, and so he would go into that, and so he'd go into the past, and he started up a relationship with, I think she was a barmaid there, and like...
you know better than me.
Basically, he had this whole thing where it would run for several seasons where he had his, like, modern-day life and his 1940s life, because he's basically bringing in little bits of, like, what is to us, like, old shit you'd find in charity shops. He'd bring that into, like, the 1940s, and he'd be a wizard, basically.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Because he was just, like, the rich guy who sauntered in, because...
breaking so many things in the Temporal Prime Directive.
But yeah, I think he gets, like, at one point, both of his girlfriends are pregnant. It's, like, fucking... It's a weird show.
Yeah, I didn't remember that. That's fucking weird.
It's also very funny thinking of, like, Nicholas Lyndhurst Lothario. I should really watch that again to see how it's aged.
Yeah, actually,
it's like a 90s show. So, but anyway, this podcast is not about Goodnight, Sweetheart. Not yet. Look forward to Men with Funny Heads 2022 when we've run out of ideas and we just start doing a episode by episode breakdown of hit TV show Goodnight, Sweetheart. At which point
we're actually both brains in jars.
Yes.
Edith asks some kind of interesting questions, actually. Why does Spock call you Captain? Did you serve together? Like, did you serve in the war? Why won't you tell me? I only want to help, and stuff like that. And it's like, this is a woman who clearly is very empathetic to the plight of people who are downtrodden.
Yeah, no, she's like just
the best egg.
This, like, just a nice person who just genuinely wants to help people.
Yes. And that I just want to help, or I only want to help line makes Kirk think about a book, as he just straight up says this, a book that is written 100 years from now.
Yeah.
And literally says it's an author from another planet, and then points out the fucking star that planet is in the system of.
And Edith is just like, oh, you're so silly.
I don't know if she's humouring him, or is just like, oh, someone else who shares in my dreams of the future. I can't work it out.
It's difficult to say at times.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how much she's just humouring him and how much she's like, there's something going on here, and I will get to the bottom of this at some point.
There are some lines where it's like, you talk like someone else I know and stuff, and it's like, oh, okay, right, okay. So, during this little romantic walk, Spock has built his computer and it's working, and finds an article on the death of Edith Keeler in 1930. And then the computer shorts out, complete with comical spark effects and smoke. It's great. And once he gets it running again, Kirk has arrived. He states to Kirk that what you might see will make you, or what you will see might make you uncomfortable. They sit to look at the fucking tiny screen in the tricorder. How they actually read anything on that, I don't know.
I don't know. I remember playing on a Game Gear. You get used to it.
You know what? Fair. But the tricorder screens are small. Oh wait, no, the Game Gear had a tiny screen, didn't it? I just remembered. Oh yeah, wow, those things sucked. Anyway, this time bringing up an article from 1936, where President Roosevelt is meeting with Edith Keeler for a talk, and it really seems like she's made a huge impression. To which Kirk is like, "Oh, okay, this makes sense." 6 years from now, she'll be meeting the President of the United States and doing great things. Spock kind of makes a point that, yeah, but I saw an article from this year that was her obituary, Captain.
So basically we've established there's two timelines and they don't know which is the one that's the good one.
There are two separate timelines and she is kind of the focal point in where this timeline branches off.
So,
super interesting. Yeah. And yeah, depending on if Keeler lives or dies, history will be changed forever, and McCoy is somehow the catalyst for this. And Spock just asks Kirk, what should they do if their timeline is caused by Edith Keeler's death? Which we'll save talking about that for later, but like there's some very interesting philosophical stuff there. Cut to a homeless man stealing some milk from a doorstep, and McCoy appearing from, I'm guessing, a time portal, although it's just sort of like a weird fade-in effect.
Yeah, he just crossfades in, it's fine.
And immediately screaming about murderers and assassins.
Murderers! Don't run, I won't kill you!
That was my favourite bit.
Don't run, I won't kill you.
First of all, DeForest Kelly gets all of my respect for this entire episode, because holy shit, he was going for it.
Yeah, he's fucking going for it. It's great. Like there is an energy to "don't run, I won't kill you" screamed at the top of your voice. That is.
Before that, he just looks at the guy and just shouts out, "You! Was it what planet is this?"
Yeah, and the guy's just like "fuck it" and legs it. Like drops the milk and runs.
Drops the milk and legs it. It's so good. God, this episode's good. Damn it, Webb. Cut back to Edith and Kirk at Edith's home, and
there is a thing of that. Whilst he chases after the guy, and he grabs him, and he's like trying to figure out. He's like because he thinks
that's after this.
Is it? Okay.
Yep. I've got the notes. Don't you worry.
Okay.
I can clearly see why you would think that because of the way that it's structured, but there's like a cut here and it goes to Edith talking about how one day man will make it to the moon and stop spending money on death in order to spend it on life, and then it cuts back to McCoy.
Oh, okay.
Who grabs the homeless man and very uncomfortably fucking interrogates him.
He's like, yes, you've got a large cranium, whilst he's like measuring the size of his head.
Okay, so clearly development of the human species. Okay, where am I? Why does it look like this? This looks like a museum. This must be an illusion. You're very good, aren't you? And then just breaks down and passes out. It's rough.
And then the guy just like rifles through his pockets and picks out like a phaser.
Yes, McCoy passes out on the floor. The homeless guy goes through his pockets, finds the phaser, and then vaporizes himself with it.
It's fine. I think it was the same guy who was being a little gross about Edith earlier. So
it was. But did that not change anything, or did that have to happen?
No. Star Trek takes a hardline stance that guy not important.
Yeah.
It's as far as history when
is that not important, or did that have to happen?
I mean, there you're getting into a much wider issue about the nature of like time travel and like is everything, if you did go back in time, is everything that you do actually predestined to already happen? Mm-hmm. Because in your timeline it has already happened, so anything you do is fine. Like,
yeah,
I don't think that's the rules this episode's going on. I think it's just saying this guy doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, I know. I was making a joke. It's fine.
I know.
But we like to be pedantic fucks and go with the bit maybe a little too often. I do want to point out, I said uncomfortably interrogates the homeless man. Like, McCoy knocks off this guy's hat and is just feeling his skull.
Yes.
It's really fucking weird.
he's one step away from breaking out the calipers, you know?
Yeah, it's... Oh, man. And again, DeForest Kelly with the Gowron crazy eyes, it's so good.
Yeah.
I love this entire episode, and the way that people were playing it is brilliant. Actually, that's a point. I think the cast kind of didn't take themselves as seriously as maybe later Star Trek casts did when doing the show. I don't know.
I think there's a bit to be said about just the style of acting, because that obviously changes over decades.
Actually, that's a good point. And I'm not casting aspersions on any actors that's been part of the show. It's just this is very different from what you see later, and it's got an air of fun to it, even though it's covering some really messy subjects.
It's a very serious, fun romp.
Yes, that's the best way of putting it. So yeah, cut to Spock and Kirk in their apartment. Spock says he needs more day, just maybe a few more days to work on the computer to get it up and running again. Kirk is desperate to find out what Edith's face is, and it's becoming more and more clear, if it wasn't from earlier on in the fucking episode, that he has deep feelings for Edith. Cut to the soup kitchen. McCoy turns up, smelling coffee, which is brilliant. The Doctor tries to just sit down and drink some coffee and is like, I'm fine, and he almost passes out. So he just takes him to a back room, and great little shot here. As Edith takes McCoy out of shot to the back room, in the background you can see Spock come out to start serving coffee to people.
Yeah, he was just out of shot whilst that was happening, so they're literally in the same building, but they don't know.
Yeah, he's right under their nose and they don't know anything about it. I love it. This is where we get the bombshell. Once we're back in
almost literally
the room. Yeah. Once we're back in the room with Spock and his computer and Kirk. Do you want to cover this, or should I?
I can do it if you want.
We'll add our own bits to it. I'll put it this way. In the timeline where Edith Keeler lives, in 1936, she starts a massive pacifist movement in America that delays America from entering the war. World War II, I should mention. Sorry.
Yeah.
Due to that delay, the Germans make the atom bomb first and win.
Yeah. So basically the timeline from which that has been the new timeline that has been created is the timeline where the Nazis win. Fun fact, actually, in the original script, they go up to the when their timeline gets changed, they do go up to the Enterprise, but they basically find it's like a mirror situation, and it's just full of antagonistic pricks because they're. I guess because they're space Nazis. So.
Yeah. I think I prefer the ambiguity of what happened to Enterprise and why the Enterprise isn't there in this script.
Yes, I think it is a superior choice.
Yeah. So
they know that McCoy will stop if they don't do anything. McCoy will stop Edith dying, and that will mean the Nazis win. Because they can because they've got nukes and they have V2 rockets, so they were basically able to just take over the world. They
were able to do ICBMs before ICBMs were a thing.
Yeah, basically.
It's this is a horrendous situation in a moral and philosophical sense that we'll talk about later. This is why I love this episode so much.
I will say, I did make in my notes here where Kirk, upon finding this, he says, basically there's a complication. I believe I'm in love with Edith Keeler. And I just wrote, no shit, Jim.
I do love that he just comes out and actually says that to Spock. And before that, when they're reading these things, Kirk says that, Edith's right, peace is the way. And Spock mentions she was right, but at the wrong time.
Yeah, I actually wonder if this is why, because Joan Collins is British.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if the reason why she had the thing in her head of the Edith being a Nazi sympathiser is because, of course, in Britain, we had the whole appeasement thing.
There was the... Oh, God, what was it called?
where we were basically just trying going, it's fine, we don't want to get into another war, and it's it's referred to as it was appeasement, so we didn't get involved earlier because of it. So, and that's obviously was considered to be a bit of a mistake.
Yes.
Because it turns out when you've got Nazis, you stamp that out as soon as you can.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that might have affected, because obviously it hasn't got quite the same connotations to appease them in America.
Yeah.
Because it's different. So I'm wondering if that might have had
that might have been it. Yeah. It's interesting.
Either that or who knows, maybe because obviously, like, when you're on set, you don't see the episode in its entirety when you're making it. So
so she might just be going off what she had and is like, oh, okay.
Yeah, she got a different implication from it.
Yeah, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
After Kirk confesses that he's in love with Edith, Spock says, but she still has to die, basically.
Yeah.
Sorry, but our timeline says she has to die in order for Starfleet to happen eventually. Which is a lot of weight on one person.
A little bit.
Yep. Cut to the back room where Keeler is caring for McCoy. McCoy states that he must be unconscious or demented because he doesn't believe anything he's seeing.
What he says is, I won't ask where I am because the answer would mean I'm either unconscious or demented.
Yes.
Because by this point, it seems, because it's sort of been ambiguous at this point of whether he will get better from the injection, but at this point he's obviously
clearly recovering. Yeah,
he's like, he's not in good shape, but he's obviously like himself again.
Yes, he's not screaming about murderers and assassins.
Yeah.
God,
but he also just doesn't believe that Edith exists, and just is like, I'm like chief physician on the Starship Enterprise. Like, I don't care. Just, you're not real. It's fine.
He mentions, I'm Dr. Leonard McCoy, chief medical officer in the Starship Enterprise. Edith just gives him a look and is like, it's not that I don't believe you, but your uniform doesn't look like a uniform from the Navy. To which McCoy replies, that's quite alright, my dear, because I don't believe in you either, and she falls asleep.
The writing in this episode's really good.
The writing's fucking great. Actually, no, not before he falls asleep. Edith does mention, you talk a lot like a friend of mine.
He's like, would you like to meet him? It's like, I'm a doctor, not a psychologist.
No, I'm a surgeon, not a psychiatrist.
Surgeon, not a psychologist.
Oh, great. In the hallway of the apartment building that Kirk, Spock, and Edith are living in, because I guess she lives upstairs. Kirk and Edith flirt, and Edith trips down the stairs, to which Kirk catches her, and they kiss, because, okay.
Spock sees... smooch!
Yep, they did the big smooching. Spock confronts Kirk about it, because that trip down the stairs could be what is the focal point of their timeline. That could have been her death. Yeah,
he's like, we can't fuck around now.
We cannot be sure of anything. I think he does say we can't be sure of any facts.
Yeah, basically, it's all up in the air right now.
Mm-hmm. He just visits Dr. McCoy. It feels like this last 20 minutes of the episode, it goes like that. It's so quick. McCoy's recovering, Edith visits. McCoy says he's very thankful for the help, and he doesn't believe anything that's going on, but he does believe in her.
Yeah, he's elevated her to a real object in the universe.
He's doing the fucking Rene Descartes thing, where unless he can prove something real, he doesn't believe it. Edith mentions, I did have to write this down because it was like, okay. I have to go. My young man is taking me to a Clark Gable movie. My young man? You mean the guy you're seeing? This is a really strange choice of words.
The 1930s were a strange time. So was 1967.
Yeah. There's an awesome moment of McCoy being confused as to who the fuck Clark Gable is. And then cut to Kirk and Edith rushing across the road to get to the movies. To which she then says, we can go and catch the Clark Gable movie. To Kirk. Kirk has the exact same response as McCoy. And that's when Edith let slip that Dr. McCoy said the exact same thing as you did. Kirk's like, Edith, stay here. Charges across the road, screaming for Spock.
Like, we know where he is! He's in the mission! It's fine!
McCoy comes out of the doorway of the mission and Kirk, Spock and Bones just hug.
Yeah, it's a nice moment.
It is a nice moment. And it's at that point Edith tries to cross the road.
Yeah.
And we hear a truck slam into her and her scream. Before the truck actually hits, McCoy tries to make a run to save her and Kirk grabs him and stops him. And we get this close-up on Kirk's face of just the pain and anguish of this having to happen, and it's someone he deeply cared about, and McCoy did as well.
Yeah, and McCoy's like, do you know what you've done? And
Yeah,
Spock just responds with...
I got the full quote here, actually. It's like, you deliberately stopped me, Jim. I could have saved her. Do you know what you just did? Kirk is completely silent, and Spock just says, he knows, Doctor. He knows. And we just kind of sit on Kirk staring into space with like one fist kind of shaking. He's clearly trying to hold himself together. It's the amount of like dead air in that bit is so good.
There's this. I'll get to the end of the ending.
Okay.
Talk about that in its completeness.
The three come back through the portal, and it turns out they've returned not a few minutes after they entered the portal. And well, from the perception of Scotty and the people standing there. The Guardian states that all as it was before and suggests they take more trips through time. Kirk has this 1,000-yard stare and can only bring himself just to very quietly say, let's get the hell out of here. They transport away, the credits start rolling, but we still in the background just see the Guardian sitting there. And that's the episode.
It's a very good episode.
It's a very good episode.
I know that last line, that was something that the network did not want them to have, and both Roddenberry and Shatner basically had to insist at that
No,
moment.
I completely support them insisting to put that in because it's so good.
It's such a good downer ending. It's like when it's kind of fading out from the past to them coming back to the future, we get a little bit of a reprise of Good Night, Sweetheart as well.
Yes.
Yeah, it's...
oh, man.
It's
is an emotionally, it hits you, right in the chest.
So, would you like me to talk a little bit about the other version of it, the other versions of it, before we do a summary of what we think?
You know what? Yeah, sure, because I can then just kind of pass comment on it, find what's interesting and what I don't like, and because I think this episode is damn near perfect.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So in the original draft of it, written by Harlan Ellison, it wasn't McCoy going crazy from injecting himself with crazy juice. It was a guy called Lieutenant Richard Beckwith, who was another crewman who basically murdered another member of the crew because he was in an illegal drug trade, and he was going to be ratted out by this other guy, so he killed him. And they go down to the planet basically for a firing squad to kill him, and then they find the Guardian Forever. And then he escapes through the portal, and he's the one who they're trying to find. And it's a similar situation where he would, because at the end of the day, he still tried to save this person. He's not. Because, he's not just a 100% bad guy. So he tries to save Edith. She did have a slightly different surname. I've got to write it down. But that was just something that got changed in the thing. But he tries to save her. If I remember rightly, I think he, in the comic, although I can't check on this, when they come back to the quote-unquote present, he ends up getting stuck in basically purgatory. Like,
Yeah,
there's like this
I remember you telling me
recursive
about this.
image of him screaming like in a spiral. It's like this really fucked up bit of artwork, like to represent him him basically getting caught in perpetual torment. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I can see why that wasn't in the final episode.
Yeah, I can kind of see why most of that wasn't in the final episode, honestly.
Yeah, Roddenberry was not a big fan of anyone from the Federation or any human being portrayed as having the capacity to be a bastard, because he was such an aspirational level to like humanity that he hated that kind of stuff.
I don't agree with Roddenberry's take on it, but I think from the tone of Star Trek so far, that one might have been a bit much.
Yeah, having read the comic that's based on Ellison's script, it's a really interesting thing to read. I do recommend, if you're at all interested, try and seek it out. But I do think that most of the decisions they went with were the right ones. I think it was a solid choice, because it makes it flow better, and it makes this quite heavy episode still have all these fun moments and stuff.
Yeah, I think that was the thing I was going to say, is especially with like the relationship between Edith and McCoy that develops, I don't think would be the same if it was just a person from the crew.
Yeah, exactly.
It's better with McCoy.
After since it had many rewrites, this actually led to like a bit of a feud between like bad blood between Roddenberry and Ellison. Which,
I mean, Ellison seemed to have bad blood with everyone, so that's not entirely surprising.
He did not appear to be a very easy person to work with.
No, he was he had a great vision, but he was an angry man.
I'll tell you this, you know that the comic, the artwork for it was pretty good, because there's a foreword by Ellison and he compliments the artist.
Holy shit,
I don't know if I've seen Ellison write a compliment before. It was weird.
Yeah, because even usually when he's like asked to comment on something and he likes it, it's usually backhanded. So
So, having been through the episode, heard a little bit about some of the background stuff. Also, it went over budget and over time in filming like crazily.
Good,
as well.
it needed it.
So, what are your thoughts on this episode?
This episode is the most Star Trek that ever Star Trekked. When I think of Star Trek, I think about like, and I'm not trying to make myself sound like some enlightened fucking arsehole here. It's like, no, this is ideas and philosophy and morals and ethics. Like, what is the right thing to do in this situation when you know someone will die? It's great.
Yeah, because I was thinking about it, like, after I'd watched it, of like, you know, if you were hypothetically to try and come up with like a happy ending for this, I was like, well, okay, you could possibly have it where it's impossible because it would involve writing Kirk out of the show, but
or
him,
writing Keeler in.
Yeah,
something.
like to have
that
him,
wouldn't even work.
Like, you could have him stay in the past with her and basically tell her the things she needs to know so that she doesn't do shit that means the Nazis win. But then
that would also abandon McCoy and Spock, though. They can't get back unless the timeline's fixed.
And also, it would effectively rob Keeler of having a fulfilling life, because she won't be able to do anything that she wants to do, because she knows
she wouldn't be. She doesn't seem like the type that'd be okay with that.
Yeah, of having to just not do what she believes in. You'd have to say, you can't do what you believe in because you will destroy the world.
Which is...
So it's like, you sit there and you go, wow, yeah, even if you try and make a happy ending out of this, it's a grim one. And I love that ending so much.
There is no good way to deal with it. And I think there's a nice... Not nice, but there's a strong message in that the past is the past and you can't change it.
Yeah.
That runs through that whole idea. Take out the time travel stuff and it's still like, the stuff that's happened in the past is in the past and we can't change it. The only thing we can do is recognise it.
Yeah, I can see that.
I might be taking this from the level of that because, like, I think we've all had that thought about someone in our family that's died, and it's like, what if we could have just went back in time and fixed it? It's like, what would that achieve? What? Like, it's... You can't do that, so don't start going down that road because nothing good will come of it. We saw Kirk almost lose his fucking mind over this.
Yeah, because there is, you don't know. Like, it's unlikely that it would end up with the Nazis get atom bombs.
Like they may have made a very blunt fucking way for like, no, this is a very clear reason why she cannot live. But yeah.
No, it's something which I've always tried to hold on to. Honestly, is that idea of that I try not to regret like the things that have happened in the past too much, because they shape who I am now, and I wouldn't be the person I am, and who am I to say whether I'd be a better or worse person now? Like, I've had bad shit happen to me, but like, if that didn't happen, I probably wouldn't be, I probably wouldn't have met my wife. I wouldn't have met you. Like,
if the three of us didn't hang out on that day, was it last year, 2 years ago, when I came down to crash at yours, and take that one street where that guy with the pasty tried to attack us, we would never have that story.
Maybe. Okay, yeah. So,
please don't say he's a fucking time traveler. We're not getting into that, Wib.
Yeah, no. Okay, so the other year, Longfang came down to visit us, and on the way back from the bus station, we were all walking back, and this guy with a Cornish pasty in his hand, he was staggering all over the road, and then he just like ran forward and launched at my wife, and
who did a Bloodborne style sidestep. Just
she just sidesteps out the way, and the guy slams into like a sign outside of a shop, and his pasty just is obliterated on the floor because he's high or drunk or something, so he's got no capacity to stop his fall.
What, 9-10 in the morning, by the way?
Yeah, this is like in the morning, and then he just
fucking.
And by this point, the pair of us have like gone over because we were a little bit separated just because how the street was, and we had got over, and then we all just look down at him.
Yeah,
and he just looks up at us with this manic expression, and then just escapes. We dubbed him the Pastymancer for reasons that time forgot. But I am now firmly in the belief that he was high on that fucking drug. He was high on cordrazine. He was on cordrazine.
That was it,
he had come from the future. If he'd have tackled Snipes to the ground, then
the Nazis would have won.
that would have completely changed the future. Who knows what? Who knows? Maybe like if it hadn't happened, like we're in the bad. Obviously, we're in the bad timeline now because it's 2020. So what? Maybe if she didn't sidestep, then something else would have happened. Like, yeah. So I'm saying that the Pastymancer is responsible for the global pandemic.
Yes, there we go. Done.
Yeah, that's...
And that might be the best point to leave off on an episode ever.
But yeah, no, City on the Edge of Forever is
even if
really
you're not a Trek
good.
fan, just please go out and watch it as a piece of TV that's just damn good.
Yeah, I'd say that there's a handful of episodes of Star Trek that I'd say are just, you don't have to have investment in Star Trek to watch. Mm-hmm. They're just really solid little good episodes. This is one of them. Weirdly, actually, one of the other ones I'd say that is the best Star Trek for someone to watch who does not care about Star Trek is one of the short treks done between series of Discovery. Which is one called Calypso. It's like a 15-minute long little episode, and it's beautiful.
I'll need to give that a watch at some point then, because I haven't really stepped into the newer Star Trek stuff all that much. It's not out of any like hatred. It's just like I just can't be bothered anymore. I
get that. Discovery is a weird one. A lot of people really, really hate it, and I kind of hated it to begin with, but then I kind of basically I was hating it because it was different and it didn't adhere to how I interpreted canon, and I was like, you know what, just watch it as a show. Season 2 gets a lot better, and I'm genuinely really interested to see how season 3 works. But no, I'm sure it's called Calypso. It's one of the short treks they're called. It is just a lovely, lovely little bit of sci-fi.
I think that's the other thing you need to come into this with, especially when we're doing this podcast. We're just talking about sci-fi in general. It might be from a show you don't like, or have stayed away from, but I think anything's worth talking about at least once.
Oh yeah, because one of the reasons I wanted to do something like this was because I didn't want to. Because I mean, we're going to do a lot of them, but I didn't want to just do bad sci-fi cheesy sci-fi. I wanted to
the cheesy and weird is sort of the world we always live in. So yeah, sometimes we need to do a Star Trek or a Star Wars, although it'll probably be the bad other media we do. But
Are you saying that if we can track it down, we're definitely going to do the Ewok movies?
Yes.
I actually looked. I was like, how can I legally watch the Ewok movies?
Is there anywhere to legally watch it?
Nowhere has it.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering. And then we watched the Ewok cartoons and then the Droids cartoons.
There's a few episodes
where there's a character called Kylo Ren.
Yeah, there's a few episodes of the Clone Wars TV show
that reference droids.
That are kind of droids. They're very similar. And they're really good episodes, actually. I would like to cover some Clone Wars stuff, because Clone Wars is great.
It's something I need to look at.
Honestly, because I watched through a few, over the last couple of months, I've watched through basically every bit of Star Wars TV that's on Disney+. So it doesn't have Ewoks and it doesn't have droids. Yeah. But I watch. Oh, I guess I didn't watch things like Forces of Destiny, but those were a web series.
Okay.
I watched the proper TV series that were made. So Clone Wars, Rebels. Resistance, and the Mandalorian.
And which I've only seen one episode of, so please shut up.
Yeah, Resistance is a bit weak. But Rebels and Clone Wars, really good, especially the Clone Wars, and The Mandalorian is one of the best pieces of sci-fi that's been made in a long time.
Yeah.
I fucking love The Mandalorian. It is so good.
We need to talk about that, because there's some interesting thoughts I have on that show.
And the child is... I expected, after seeing every part about him sort of ruined by GIFs, 6 months before it came out in the UK... Yeah. I expected to be oh, he's cute, but I don't care so much. But I would die for that little green fucker. I love him.
If anything happens to that green big-eared motherfucker, I will kill everyone in this room and then myself.
Yes. Oh my god, Baby Yoda is so adorable. It is so good. And oh god, the only problem with The Mandalorian is how do you because obviously our format is to talk about an episode or 2 episodes or something like that. How do you talk about The Mandalorian, which is 8 episodes? And I guess there are a couple of episodes of it that are kind of Planet of the Week ones, and I guess that's what we'd have to do.
From watching the first episode, I would say that it might be quite easy to jump in at any point, in a way.
There are, because it's the first couple of episodes are one thing, and then it does a few episodes that are just Planet of the Week episodes, and then it has a handful of more episodes on the end that are the tying up of that story.
I think it's definitely worth us doing an episode of that at some point.
Absolutely.
By the way, hi listeners. You're just getting all the fucking background deets now. I'm glad you stayed around for it.
Yeah, this is just what we're doing. But yeah, City on the Edge of Forever. Go watch it if you've never watched any of the original series of Star Trek. It is 100% worth watching. You don't need to know anything beyond Kirk and Spock and McCoy exist.
Literally, they exist. You don't even need to know their relationships. You need to know they just are a thing.
Yeah. Oh, and the Nazis are bad. But I would hope that literally everyone listening to that already knows that. And if you don't, kindly piss off.
Yeah.
Nazis are bad.
So,
do you have any final thoughts before we sign off for the day?
Thank you for listening, and live long and prosper.
Excellent. We'll see you in another couple of weeks. Hopefully we'll have another fun episode for you. Goodbye.
Bye.